welcome to MJ Hobby Corner, everyone. I'm MJ, and I want to first and foremost welcome new subscribers, and I want to thank our patrons on Patreon for their support, and to all of you who have purchased Scratchbuilder monthly on Wargames Vault. Thank you very much for your support. It really helps the channel out, and it helps my work. It keeps my work going. So thank you guys. So first and foremost, a little Julie tidbit. She is recovering day by day. It's a very slow recovery, as I have mentioned. You guys have already seen her in the previous video where she came out and talked a little bit about the health issues and everything that she's been experiencing. We're both disabled, and so we both really work around our health, basically. So this period of time has been very difficult with Julie getting sick and feeling the way she does. So it does impact our channel tremendously when one of us goes down, basically. So, but she is recovering, and we are hoping to have our first session of Easy D6, which I already have a world that I'm working on, just like drafting some general concepts for that world and working on the first adventure. Again, some general concepts, because Julie will be the one really telling the story, you know, so I like to give my players that a chance. I provide some of the rules, so to speak, of the world, but they really tell the story depending on how they play their characters and the choices that they make. So Julie, it'll be very interesting to see how she gives life to this goblin female of hers. She's playing a goblin beastmaster, and it's going to be told from the perspective of these goblins, her clan, herself primarily. You know, and depending on whatever choices she makes, she will unlock parts of this world that I have in mind. So we'll see how that goes. But like I said, that's again related to her recovery. We couldn't play last Tuesday. She just was not feeling good, and so we just want to wait until she's really able to really enjoy the game. That's the most important thing. So I already have an idea for recording the sessions, so you guys will probably see it at some point, and I'll just put it on the channel whenever it happens. Who knows? It might be this weekend. Who knows? You know. So hopefully that'll take place. And I think for the larger games, that's probably going to be a while still. Probably closer to summer. It will depend on the time that my group can get together, that we can all get together, and we have to we're still planning the logistics of that. So that'll be a little more interesting in terms of the filming, and we'll see what we can do. And my group has two things in mind. A couple of them are going to hop in and play with Julie in the whole goblin setting with Easy D6. And then the rest of my group, the larger group, we're also going to play Forbidden Lands. And Forbidden Lands is a role-playing game that I've had my eye on for a while. And some people recommended it too in previous videos. You know, they recommended Forbidden Lands. So I know that there are people here on the channel that are interested in role-playing games, and there's a lot of crossover between our communities. You know, I thought it'd be an interesting thing to bring to the channel as well. Some scratch building projects that are probably coming in the spring to prepare for some of these role-playing game sessions as well. So be on the lookout for that if you like scratch building. I also want to give a shout out to Cody from Oakridge Online Stores. This is a family-owned business here in the U.S., in Illinois, and I just did an unboxing for patrons only. It's a 1/72 scale Camel Riders miniatures, and very cool miniatures. The company is HAT, H-A-T, and it was a new company that I was trying out. But more importantly, I was very happy with the service by Oakridge online stores, and specifically to Cody, which was mentioned in a little note. So I do want to give them a shout out. The order came very quickly, so I was very happy about that because, of course, as content creators, we want to get our games in as soon as possible. And so the quicker I get my miniatures, the quicker I can prepare them, paint them, unbox them, uh, and talk about them a little bit, review them a little bit. So yeah, it's nice to get things, right away. We know that that can't always happen, and it's not the fault of the distributor sometimes. So yeah, I mean, obviously, depending on the circumstance, patience is always something important. But I do appreciate when these things do come on time. And of course, we also know that a lot of times, I mean, these things, once they leave the seller, they're in the hands of our postal service. So, it will depend on what time of year it is and all that stuff, whether I get things on time or not. But as for the seller, it was great. It was a great experience. Within an hour of actually ordering the miniatures, boom, label was created and they were soon in the mail. So I got them pretty quickly, which is great. Okay, so and if you're interested in that, you want to help support us, these bonus videos are on Patreon. A lot of stuff. I'm dividing what goes on as bonus videos for our patrons, and they also get some digital files, a copy of Scratchbuilder monthly, and they're also getting little counters that I'm making. I have another set of counters that are going to go on Patreon as well, and it's just a little extra perk. Couple of paper models, whatever I design, if I'm able to design it. Very low budget, but it's a little extra thank you for my second tier patrons. Okay. So in this video, in this update, I touched on all those major things. I am working on a little game demo for a very old game. It's a relic game in my collection called Sky Galleons of Mars. It's related to a game called Space 1889, which is a role-playing game. And this was an interesting system, and it's a very old system. The role-playing game came out in 1988. Frank Shadwick is the author. The company was originally GDW, Game Designers Workshop, and it was a role-playing company from that designed RPGs from 1973 to about 1996. And then since then, it's gone over to other publishers, including Heliograph Incorporated. And there was a board game version of this game called Sky Galleons of Mars. And then there was an intermediate expansion called Cloud Ships and Gunships, which bridged the gap between Space 1889, the RPG, and Galleons of Mars, the board game. And Cloud Ships and Gunships added like boarding actions and other things to the game. I own those different rule sets, and so I decided to do something on them. It came out, there was a 2000 reprint of the rules, and so that's what I'm using. So it's 23 years old, and the role-playing game is much older than that. So it's an interesting system, being a relic system. And the reason why I bring that to the channel is that I like playing older games. I myself, I'm 52 years old, and I've been playing for a very long time. And some of these older rules, it's just interesting to go back and look at, where the roots to a lot of our modern games are actually, entrenched. I don't know. I just find it interesting. And so I'm making a little demo. It was a streamlined rule set, but complex rule set. And yes, games can be streamlined in terms of rules, but that doesn't mean they don't have complexity or depth. So there's a few steps during combat and things that you have to keep in mind. But one of the interesting things is the crew mechanic that this old rule set has. So I'm working on the video. We'll see if I can put it out at some point. Depending on how happy I am with the video, I'm going to try and put it out soon. And I also have a game of one-page rules, Age of Fantasy, with the new mission packs. And I'm going to be playing that solo in small scale. So that'll probably come out first because it'll be easier to edit. Okay, and I know the game better, so it'll be definitely easier to come out. So you might see that first before this game, this demo that I'm doing. Okay, so that's the game situation. Of course, there's a bunch of games that we want to play as soon as Julie comes back. Anthems of War, I want to continue playing that. There's just a bunch of things. Stargrave, all this stuff we want to play. So Julie, get better. All right, so Scratchbuilder. This is what I really want to talk about in this video without making it too long. So if you've survived, if you've made it this far, thank you, and I hope that you will make it through the rest of the video because this is important. This has to do with my little magazine on Wargames Vault and on Patreon. Scratchbuilder Monthly has become a very important part of the channel. It's something that already I'm seeing an impact on the studio. And as you know, this is a very low budget enterprise that we run here. I mean, the studio is a separate building. It's a larger building. And it's closed in the winter time to save on heat. And now is open spring, summer, and fall. So when we move into the studio again, that's where I have all my space. All my filming comes through over there, and a lot of bigger projects get done over there, all that stuff, okay? So Scratchbuilder is now being organized. You guys that, any readers of Scratchbuilder that are present here in the video, you will note that the magazine is changing slightly, and it will change in time. Some of the changes that I'm incorporating are new organized sections that are going to be consistent for each issue. However, the topics are going to vary. Every article is going to be different. So for example, a new section that I'm adding is the role-playing games section to the magazine. And this reflects our new content that's coming for role-playing games. So I started with Easy D6. I have a review of DM Scotty's Easy D6 on the magazine. And just talk about some first impressions of the rules of the game and why we chose it. And then I add a little section on some of the homebrew stuff that I'm making for the game. So a few things about the world and Julie's character and all this stuff. This section will include other things, other articles, say on our experience with Forbidden Lands. You know, if players have any comments, I may give them a very short little interview and kind of have them, you know, or write up their experiences with the game and incorporate that into this section of the magazine. And its length is going to vary depending on the material that I have. There may also be scratch building projects dedicated to just role-playing games. Okay, so that's a whole new section. And they're going to be organized in the magazine in certain ways. Another new section is the project of the month. And this is not new. This is the meat of the magazine, but I'm just going to label it project of the month. And so there could be a theme for the month. It could be steampunk. It could be fantasy. It could be sci-fi. Whatever it is I'm building. Sci-fi walls. So that month, that's what I'm doing. And that's going to be the project of the month. There is, and sorry, I'm kind of jumping back and forth. But there's also a sculpting section that has been added already. And that's going to probably be, it's called the sculpting bench. And that's going to be probably the first article you run into. And that's going to talk about my sculpting projects and how I sculpt and anything related to sculpting. Maybe it doesn't include an actual project, but it may include a plan for a sculpture that's coming later in the month. So it may just be diagrams of the creature that I'm going to make. So that's going to be in the magazine as well. Cardboard ideas and foam ideas. Foam construction, as you guys know, I build with a variety of different materials, and I also use what's called hybridization, where I just make hybrid models using different materials, right? So I could start the model with cardboard if I'm making a tank, and decide that I want to make the hatches and other details out of clay. So that's what I mean by hybrid. So I have different materials, and so the magazine will have cardboard ideas and foam ideas. And of course, I'm introducing foam as a new subject. The airships that I built for this demo, the new airships based on Sky Galleons of Mars, are the ones that lead that project. Okay, and so there will be another airship project this month, probably. I'm going to build another airship. And then, of course, the cardboard ideas for now is the whole top-down thing that I have. I'm going to introduce a couple of new German units, including the Martyr vehicle and some artillery. So you guys will see that. That's a draft, okay? That's just a draft. Things could change depending on how I write the magazine. And then, of course, so project of the month, that's going to be that month's project or two, okay? And depending on the complexity of that project, will determine whether it's just one section, one project or two projects, or a series of small projects, right? Like dungeon furniture in 15 millimeter or something like that. All of these things depend on my needs for the games that I'm going to be playing. All my scratch builds depend on the needs that I have. So, for example, my games of Gods and Mortals take on an Egyptian pantheon theme. They're only on Patreon. I'm going to need desert terrain. So, that's an example. And then, of course, my single project issues are a series of other publications, and there are 11 total on Wargames Vault. And 11 total, including Scratchbuilder Scratchbuilder Monthly. These single project issues are just exactly what they are. Just one project in the document. They're shorter, usually, not always, but usually shorter than Scratchbuilder Monthly, which is about 70 pages, especially with these new sections. And these are just shorter content. I usually sell them for $1, $1.59, depending on how much work I put into it. And it's just, for example, cardboard ideas. Could be building a Star Wars ship out of cardboard, or building something out of a tank out of cardboard, or top downs or whatever. And then we have a publication for each of the materials that I use, like foam, clay, cardboard, etc. Okay, so that's my plan for those single project issues, and they're just little expansions, if you will, okay, to kind of focus my ideas on specific projects. Whereas Scratchbuilder Monthly is just a whole conglomerate of things organized into sections, okay? So that's the plan. And that's what I wanted to say. I want to thank you guys for all your support and all the kind remarks that I have for Julie. She is my everything, and she is a very important part of this channel. So anything or any positive comments that you have for her, certainly also I'm happy for. So yeah, keep rolling those saving throws for her as you have been doing, and we hope that she comes back real soon. Okay, so all right, guys, and that's it. Thank you for your support. If you want to support us on Patreon, there are bonus videos over there. I also give my patrons some polls and voting power for content, and they also get they're getting more digital materials. So I'm going to see where that goes as well. Okay. And if you want to support us on War Games Vault, there's plenty of little publications, and I will be adding more. Okay. So thank you very much. And of course, here on the YouTube channel, your subscription helps us a lot. It is the foundation of everything. And I want to thank all our subscribers. And for those of you that have been with us for a while, this is really what supports the work. You know, this is really encourages and supports the channel. So thank you. All right, folks, we'll see you soon.